we'd like to find out DC9's political campaigns. What are some of those campaigns?
There are, of course, a million different issues in the political arena, and we're willing to talk about all of them except for one. We have one deal breaker, and that is prevailing wage. If you are against prevailing wage, we are against you. Our most current hit came when the mayor announced, in response to a lawsuit by a DC 37 laborers unit, that he was no longer going to allow city skilled trades workers, by executive order, he was going to take away their rights under prevailing wage. And right now, everything else is off the table. We'll be meeting in a couple of weeks with all of the other affected trades. This is bigger than DC9. This is a building trades issue. We're all going to try to work together on the solution. You know, there could be a legislative solution at City Council. There could be a chance that the mayor realizes that this was just like a hissy fit he had because he lost the lawsuit and go back to being normal. It could be a case of, can we stall this till a new mayor comes in? I don't know. We'll be sitting together to figure out what are our options. As far as politically, District Council 9 has one of our members right now running for Congress. A decorative painter out of Local 20 is running for an open seat in Queens. So as far as political, nothing to do with legislation, our focus is to help her get elected. Our members are very, very active and will come out and help do what needs to be done. They'll be knocking on the doors and making the phone calls to other members to make sure that we maximize that vote. Her name is Elizabeth Crowley.
Early on in the primary, we heard Newt Gingrich, for example, claiming that union janitors in New York City were making so much more money, and so he thought that one way to put poor students to work would be to give those jobs that that the union janitors were doing, which caused the ire of the operating Local 891, that is, operating engineers. So, Jack, when you survey this landscape, and now we have this upcoming election recall in Wisconsin of Governor Walker, and so we see not only here in New York but nationwide, we see all these attacks on unions, and wanted to find out, why do you feel that the employers think that they can stay on the offensive, be on the offensive, and how can the union, not just DC9 but the building trades as a whole, how can the building trades union in New York respond to those attacks?
I don't care what sector you work in, if you're a unionized worker right now, you are under attack. It's coming to a head now, I think, because of where the economy is. So a lot of people, you know, just think we're overpaid. I mean, I would never ever apologize for our salary. Come and work one day with one of our members next to him and see what he does to earn that money. I don't know how it's a bad thing to make good money. We have pensions. People are jealous of pensions. We self-fund our pension. And in fact, when the market crashed, we had to make an adjustment ourselves to that. Our accrual is now 1/4 of what it was a couple of years ago. Plus, we pay $1.75 an hour that gets no accrual just to keep the fund healthy. This is private sector now, not you know. I guess the public sector seems to be the ones really in the crosshairs, and I guess it's because the typical person's interaction with a union member is with that guy at motor vehicle, or the school teacher, or the garbage man, or whatever, mailman. It's just, you could look at Alec, you could look at the Koch brothers. They are really good at what they do. They have focused their agenda for 30 or 40 years. We tend to try to get through today, and we don't look at the bigger picture, and we don't really have the, you know, people talk about solidarity. I've heard that word. To me, it's kind of like Bigfoot. I've always heard about it, but I never actually saw it with my own eyes. Now, just before all of that stuff happened in the economy, you remember the AFL breaking off, Andy Stern taking his ball and going home. So even though the unions have never really been a monolith, we've never had solidarity, there was a perception that we did. And that's really more important than reality. People really thought if you messed with one union worker, you messed with all of them. And that was okay, we got away with it. But now Andy Stern announced to the world that no, we're really a whole bunch of different people. That doesn't help at all, that people now know that we're not together. We don't stick up for each other. We start out doing that, but then they can always peel one group off from another. Unfortunately, we are playing defense all the time, it seems, but I still believe that history is a pendulum, and I think at some point it swings back when people finally get it in their head that there's a very few people making an obscenely ridiculous share of money, resources, wealth, whatever. At some point that has to break. It has to.
You mentioned Rose Associates. Is that how DC9 is opposing and going on the offensive against these corporate attacks?
I said Rose is a special case because he's managing a building where they're trying to cut our workers' pay in half, and then they locked us out. So once there's a lockout, okay. You know, we don't run away from a fight. You know, what we always say is, you can beat us, but we will never quit. We just keep coming at you. So Rose engaged, and okay, that's it. Game on with him. As far as, you see, like, we're kind of in a weird situation in the building trades, and in New York City especially. While you gotta admit that these are real bad guys that are running the Wall Street firms, unfortunately, they're our bad guys. They pay 20 cents on every dollar that New York City collects comes from the financial services. They're a big part of hiring our members. So it's very hard for us to sit here and want to kill them, because if you know they do pay us. But there's a place that we can meet somewhere else. You know, they don't need to be making that much money. You know, we're pretty much making cigarette and beer money while these guys are. I mean, it's just money you can never spend. I don't care how many generations, you'll never get rid of that money. So, you know, it's hard to feel sorry for them, but at the same time, we have to understand the business relationship there is. And as far as our response to it, it's bigger than us. There's nothing DC9 can do alone. This is something that workers, union and non-union too, have to understand, that you are in the barrel right now. If you don't fight back collectively, I mean, you always hear this right down the block here. I saw them occupying Union Square Saturday night. You don't understand the difference between 99% and 1%, the power that you can have. And I don't care if you're union, I don't care if you're non-union, I don't care if you're white, black, male, female, it doesn't matter. You all got to get together and understand that there is a concerted effort to keep you in poverty. And it's not a union issue, this is a worker issue. And the non-union is getting killed just as, maybe worse than we are right now. They're exploited worse than our workers. At some point, all workers got to get together and figure it out.